Meat shields and brain shields and the zombies who can't tell the difference. Internet. My name is Peridiam and we have got a merge on our hands. Wait, no, was this a merge? Not exactly. Well then, what is it? It's before the merge, so pre-merge? But they do merge, so pre-jury. Purgatory? Mergatory. You know what? Screw it. Bust out the sumo, we're fighting for it. Actually, no, we're drawing rocks. So, the merge of Survivor 42. It was chaotic. It was fractured. It may be the most disorganized merge I have ever seen, and yet also kind of orderly in how it came together. Chaotic? So to make sense of all this, let's talk about it. Before the game became individual, we saw Daniel get his torch snuffed with Chanel surviving by the skin of her teeth. She is quite happy. She beat him at his own game. Despite that small victory though, she lost Mike's trust, which will prove to be a bigger loss in the big picture with what's about to go down. Similarly, we saw the Ika tribe have a major rift continuing to form between Roxroy and Tori. This has been a season-long feud, and it is now coming to a head as Tori doesn't trust Roxroy about his intent to hide information about Shipwell Island. If you remember in episode 5, Roxroy and Lydia went to Shipwell Island. It was like the most nothing burger scene in the history of Survivor. Roxroy protected his vote. He had nothing to hide. And yet, despite that, these two Furbies somehow still predictably aren't able to hold a conversation. Drea and Romeo are like, oh my god, we need to find greener pastures at the merge. Seeing both Vati and Ika fracture before the merge is absolutely foreshadowing for what's about to go down. Because Survivor 42 is an Ouroboros and it's a repeat of the same format as 41, we have got the same merge challenge with the Indiana Jones boulder and Jonathan unknowingly about to get crushed by it. Mike is also now a human ladder torn apart limb by limb, and yet, in spite of these efforts, welcome to modern Survivor, where the merge challenge is irrelevant and the results don't matter. Roxroy is sent to Exile Island. He glares into the sun, a little elf named Hefe drops an hourglass at his feet, and now he's got a choice. Roxroy, smash or pass? The power is in your hands. And what does he do?
It's tremendous power.
It's just a tough decision.
If I smash it, 6 people get a do-over.
Wait a minute. Oh! That's Applebee's. They got Applebee's. Holy shit, they have shark bowls, chicken wings, cutlery. Jeff, you outdid yourself this season. You listened to the fans. This is a change to the hourglass twist I can stomach. And you know what? Given all the calamity that's ensuing, I think this is the perfect time to make sense of it all. Like unfurling a tablecloth on a massive oak table that is the sponsored merge feast, let's bust out the battle map. Boom. Orange team. Jonathan is daydreaming about cartons of eggs, cheese, grits, and all the fixins. He almost sent himself to Exile Island, but the food is just, it's too good to pass up. Meanwhile, Tori is airing her dirty laundry. Tori, manners, please. Not at the dinner table. She tells the rest of the players about how much she does not care for her Ika tribe and is ready to flip. And everyone is like, okay, taking notes. Use Tori as extra vote or place in discard pile. We flip over to the blue team, and they're starving. Romeo literally says he would have been happy to receive a bag of poop. What? Meanwhile, Drea is throwing Tori under the bus to Mike, given the two of them are holding idols. They use this as a way to bond going into the pending merge. They want to look out for each other, and Mike is on board. This could be the beginning of something great as the war is about to begin. So then, the tribes merge. Ish. Sorta. They're on the same beach. There are now a lot of people on the board, and we've got a lot of action to cover. So, let's start with the amulets from the premiere episode. Lindsay, Hai, and Drea connect and reinforce their original plan. Not to target each other, but to work together. 3 brains are better than 1, and if they can form a peace treaty, they will all benefit in the long run. And I actually like this initial strategy, save the chaos for when the merge stabilizes, no need to burn potential allies when there's a lot of game left to be played. If you think about it, most likely one of these players is going to end up with a hidden immunity idol later in the game, so why not save it for later down the road? On the other side of the island, Marianne is moving and shaking. She talks with Mike about their idols and how that connects them. Then she talks with Romeo and they bond over being the smaller people in the tribe. They have to look out for each other. Then Marianne talks with Tori. She's really making the rounds, and Marianne says that she wants to use Drea as a shield for the short term. Tori is impressed with Marianne. She's a lot more strategic than you might first expect. Marianne is hitting the ground running, and she's got options, potential allies, and she's also safe for the moment, so it's all gravy. And personally, I love this for Marianne. It's some of the most proactive gameplay of the merge. But then we flip over and see Mike and Jonathan bonding on the beach. They bond over being the bigger guys. Definitely a bit of contrasting going on here from the little ones to the big ones. They like each other. They talk about how they get stigmatized for appearing as these big dummies, but they're more than that. And I think through 6 episodes, yeah, I can see it. I've been impressed by both of them. That said, I did have both of them pretty high in my preseason and True Contenders analysis, so who's ahead of that curve? Hai then notices Jonathan from afar. The guy is an absolute unit, and Hai wants to use him as a shield. Hai, buddy, get in line. There's like 5 other people ahead of you on that one. But Romeo then pulls Hai aside and they begin to share their personal backstories. Romeo is really happy for Hai and how open he is about being gay. Romeo hasn't had that in his life, and he's glad more than anything that he's able to share this experience with Hai here on the beach, if only for a moment. He knows that this is going to be on national television soon, and Romeo, I only wish the best for you. Omar then joins them from a distance, and Hai right away throws Chanel under the bus. Hai also reveals that Omar doesn't have a vote, which is news to Omar. Oh, okay. Thanks, Chanel, for not letting him know about that. Omar is now sketched out about Chanel and is on the same page with Hai. There is nothing like finding a common enemy in Survivor, especially at the merge. Omar's sights are set on Chanel as the first to go. It's at this point that the lines in the merged tribe begin to solidify in the sand. Perhaps the most important scene of the entire 2 hours, we see Hai and Jonathan get together and hatch a season-defining path forward. They form a majority alliance between themselves, Lindsay, Omar, Mike, Drea, Roxroy, and Lydia. And if you look at the board, yeah, this makes sense. Even though it is 8 out of 12, it is still a very workable number for now. It makes the merge organized and gives them both ample room from within those numbers. Discard the outsiders and then buy yourself a little time to figure out your middle and end game. Hai and Jonathan bring in Lydia and Drea. They're both on board. They're in the 8. Drea says that Roxroy is solid. He's with them, which then leaves me wondering, where does Romeo fit into all this? What happened to the first 5 episodes, Drea? Regardless, Jonathan wants Mike involved, as of course they've been bonding on the beach, and so does Hai, and all of them set their sights on Chanel. She's exposed, she's not immune, and she's gotta go. They also target Tori for being an outsider, and then Jonathan throws out Marianne's name as a distraction. Jonathan doesn't actually want Marianne to go, but it makes sense for him to appear to target her for now. Chanel then joins them, and it gets awkward. And so they disperse and all go spearfishing. But Chanel isn't satisfied. She's not gaming enough to her liking. This is the merge. The time is now. It is time to connect with the power players and rule the roost. So she talks with Lydia about what to do, and Lydia is kinda cagey. Denies any alliances or potential targets. Really, who knows? Chanel ain't buying it. Meanwhile, the Elite 8 alliance forms back up after Chanel leaves, and Omar now joins them and says that he is also with the plan. They want to get Chanel out. Chanel then notices the group is all back from spearfishing and joins them on the beach, and oh my god, they awkwardly disperse again. Yup, oh look at that, there's still some fish left in the ocean. Spearfishing time again. So now we're back on Exile Island, and Rockstory is mid-swing, and yeah, we all kind of know this was coming, right? Is anyone surprised? Rockstory, here's the pitch. You can either have guaranteed safety for you and your allies and make your number 1 target exposed at the next vote, or, wait for it, have a 50% chance one of you goes home next. So, the question of the hour, smash or pass? So we're at the immunity challenge. Roxroy smashed the hourglass, and now the tables have turned. Everyone who was safe is now unsafe, and vice versa. Let the meek inherit the earth. And of course, in true Survivor fashion, the underdog Tori wins immunity, which means all hell is about to break loose. The day of reckoning came a lot sooner for this Elite 8 alliance than they expected. So we head back to camp. Roxroy is now in on the plan, but the plan is kind of shot to smithereens, so I'm not sure what Roxroy is gonna do anymore other than, well, even in hindsight, I'm still not sure what Roxroy ends up doing. Romeo connects with Tori about taking out Jonathan. He's the big man on campus, he's gotta go. Welcome to Survivor, bro chacho. Romeo highlights that Jonathan and Mike are already a strong duo. They're taking long walks on the beach together, they're watching the sunset together, they're going on bro dates together. Romeo needs control. So Romeo meets with Marianne, Drea, and Hai. He pitches for Jonathan to be the target. Marianne is nervous about that. Jonathan is still her ally. She is between a rock and a hard place now. Lydia, Lindsay, and Chanel talk about targeting Jonathan, but Lindsay doesn't like that plan. She would rather take out Marianne if she had to pick. Chanel doesn't know it, but everyone else that's eligible to be voted for is in the Elite Eight, except for Marianne. So by process of elimination, the only problem is that Marianne has an idol. Crap. If she plays it, all bets are off. Lindsay wants to protect Jonathan as best she can, so she's got to find a way to secure her numbers. She goes off to do that, and then Lydia and Chanel are like, we can clearly see through Lindsay. We know exactly what her agenda here is. She doesn't want to vote off Jonathan. But Chanel is unfazed, and so we see a large group of Lydia, Omar, Marianne, Romeo, Tori, and Chanel group up to hatch a plan. Which, I want to say, if we pause for a moment, this is an interesting group because it is all four of the outsiders, plus Lydia, who is kind of awkwardly in the middle, plus Omar, the deadliest social player in the cast. So the conversation is about taking out Jonathan, and this is a lot of votes that can make it happen. Omar is hesitant, he's nervous, he wants to have a hands-off approach because he can't vote, but it seems that he's got to get down and dirty and make some magic happen if he wants his other half in Jonathan to survive the night. Omar and Jonathan meet up, and Omar lets Jonathan know, yeah, you're in trouble. Jonathan is now begging Omar to help him here. Jonathan used his muscles to get him this far. Now hopefully Omar can use his social game to turn the tide. But Jonathan still has to make something happen off of his own agency, so he meets with Roxroy, Drea, and Romeo to talk about legitimately targeting Marianne. He didn't want it to come to this, but she's not in the 8, and just like her, he is between a rock and a hard place. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Omar meets with Lydia about the vote and sees that she is waffling. She could honestly vote out Jonathan or Marianne. Lindsay wants Marianne gone and is pushing for that, but half the tribe is clearly targeting Jonathan. Lydia just wants it to be anyone but her. And that right there is all Omar needs to hear to seal the deal. Omar realizes the logic that if Lydia is okay with somebody in the 8 going over somebody who's not, then the seal is broken, and why not take out somebody in the 8 now? And Omar prioritizes Jonathan over Lydia, and of course, it's Survivor. You also got to sprinkle in a little bit of your own lies in the process. And here we go. Crack your knuckles, sit back, and relax. It is time for the Omar Grand Tour. Omar first talks with Lindsay about targeting Lydia. Lydia could be down to voting out Jonathan. That's no bueno. Omar then talks to Jonathan. He says they both need Marianne. She has got an idol and an extra vote. She is a weapon for them to utilize down the line. They need an army. Marianne can hold that line. Omar then talks to Marianne about the vote and lets her know they gotta vote for Lydia. Marianne may need to play her idol, but either way, the vote is Lydia. Marianne is nervous, but hey, it's time to put up or shut up. This merge ain't messing around. And if you notice what just went down, this is Taku mobilizing between a fractured Ika and Vati that we talked about at the beginning of the video. Omar talks to Drea about voting out Lydia, mentions how Lydia is down to vote out anyone, including Jonathan. Drea understands the assignment, she's on board. And then lastly, Omar meets with the toughest cell of the night. He talks with Mike and Hai about turning on their closest ally. And Omar gets a little bit creative here with the recount of the conversation with Lydia, but either way, he sets up the board with everyone else first to ensure that he has the numbers to get Lydia out. I just want to make mention that the order of operations for how you get the ball rolling is just as critical as getting the ball where you want it to end up being. Mike wants to do whatever Hai wants to do, and given the 8 Alliance is now taking out Lydia, Hai, you either with us, are you against us? Hai tells us that he can't vote out Lydia. She is his #1 ally. He would go to rocks for her. So Hai meets with Drea about forming a counter plan, splitting the vote between Marianne and Jonathan. The problem is that half the tribe want to target the more physical players, and Hai considers himself amongst that group, so he doesn't really want Jonathan to go. Jonathan is his new shield. But if Marianne plays her idol, Jonathan will go, which is not good for Hai. This is a conundrum. Every plan is met with a potential dead end. There is no way out, the walls are closing in, and so at the 11th hour, he meets with Lydia to talk about this predicament. They need Marianne to not play her idol. This right here is where the good players fold and the great players prevail. They go to tribal council, and Marianne and Drea kind of get into a disagreement about whatever, and then a big beetle shows up and lands on Roxroy. Whew! It's a lot. Maybe that beetle is like a reincarnation of Erica, or one of Xander's evil butterflies. Either way, Marianne doesn't play her idol. I was pretty shocked. The votes come in, and by a tally of 6 to 2 to 2 to 1, Lydia has been voted out of Survivor 42 as the final pre-juror of this season. BFJA Army, you had a good run. And despite all the prior noise and the pandemonium and pretty much a lot of the battle map in this video, it's the final vote count that tells us the ultimate story. 5 of the Elite 8 Alliance voted for Lydia, including Hai surprisingly, which tells me Hai made his bed and went with that group of players. Omar's social game turned the tides on Lydia, and of course Marianne voted her out too. All of Taku dunked on Lydia as we saw in the episode, as well as Mike, who is in good with them, and Drea, who also is in good with them, and then Hai. Hai highly likely didn't want it to come to this, but he decided that this was his best path forward. That might be the most questionable call of the merge, but we will have to see how it pans out for him. As we see with the other votes, all of the outsiders were splitting the vote between Jonathan and Marianne, which we also all saw in the episode. Tori, Chanel, Romeo, and Lydia split their votes, expecting the other 6 to do the same, leaving them all wide open for this blindside, and given that Tori, Chanel, and Romeo were all immune, the vote fell on Lydia. And then of course you have Roxroy, who votes for Linz. What? Lindsay? Did he spell Lydia wrong? I'm not sure if this is like a bizarro alphabet strategy coming into play, or if he misspelled Lydia or clearly Lindsay. I'm not sure why he voted this way. It could have been a mistake, but I also don't think it's gonna matter all that much in the scheme of things, so perhaps it's best we just don't waste too much brain power trying to figure this one out. Ultimately, we have the idol holders, amulet holders, and extra vote holders all working together at this merge. That's why nothing was played, and that's why we're currently in a holding pattern. I think after looking at this mapping of the merge vote and all of the action that ensued, that the outsiders of this vote are in for a world of hurt coming up. In other words, if you didn't vote for Lydia, good luck. Not sure about you, Roxroy, but you never know. Chanel and Tori really have no friends around them, and Romeo is strangely just removed from everything. Marianne is on the outs, but because Taku is in the driver's seat, I'm not as worried for her given the strongest players right now are looking out for her. And I think she can hold her own if necessary. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if Chanel and Tori are living on borrowed time. There are a lot of strong personalities vying for control, and Omar definitely gets my MVP award for the merge and making this outcome happen. And quite honestly, I have been enjoying this season a lot, and I can't wait to see how it all unfolds from here. And that's where I'm at right now. That's the battle map of the merge of Survivor 42. That's my analysis. Those are my current thoughts. And I just hope this season can keep the momentum because it's been a fun ride. Regardless of what happens next, I want to say thank you to my patrons for all your support, for allowing me to bounce these pogs around on this digital table. May it never grow stale. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're enjoying this season. Let me know your current thoughts on everything thus far. What are your thoughts on this merge? Don't forget to eat those 18 eggs on your way out, and I will see you in the next one once I head on over for some fine dining, eating good in the neighborhood at my local Applebee's.
Applebee's, Applebee's, Applebee's. Applebee's, Applebee's, Applebee's. Applebee's, Applebee's, Applebee's. Applebee's, Applebee's, Applebee's.
Applebee's is by far my favorite sit-down restaurant.